And her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway.
So what do? They stop all the primaries. They don't have real primaries anymore. They haven't had a real primary since 2012.
Yeah.
They rig them. They rig it with Bernie Sanders. They rig it with RFK Jr. They're just, the whole business is gross.
White House Press Secretary Karoline Leavitt is racking up victories and setting fire to the rot festering inside the Biden administration. In a blistering showdown with the press, Leavitt unleashed a bombshell, exposing the staggering extent to which Nancy Pelosi rigged the system for her own gain. The room froze. Whispers about Pelosi's stock scandal had floated around for years, but no one was prepared for the jaw-dropping magnitude Karoline just revealed. This wasn't bending the rules, it was rewriting them for pure profit. And yes, I've got every scorching clip queued up. So, hit that subscribe button because you're not going to want to miss this. Let's jump in.
Have you talked with the president about his position on the stock trading ban bill before Congress? He obviously had pretty loaded comments about Senator Hawley. There's some reporting that they've since spoken. What is his position on the current status?
The media circus erupted when a pack of smug journalists thought they had Karoline Leavitt backed into a corner. They pounced on Senator Josh Hawley's Honest Act, a bill to ban insider trading by elected officials, hoping to stir up fireworks between Karoline and Trump. After all, just days earlier, Trump and Hawley had publicly clashed, with Trump accusing him of cozying up to Democrats and betraying the MAGA base. The journalist smelled blood, angling for cheap political points and praying Karoline would stumble into the drama. Big mistake. Karoline didn't even blink. She shot back with confidence, razor-sharp clarity, and that trademark fire. She made it clear that while the left plays media games, she came to deliver real answers, not dance into partisan traps. The press showed up for a scandal, but Karoline handed them a masterclass instead.
The president has spoken to Senator Hawley, who called him, and the president took that call. As the president said in the Roosevelt Room yesterday, conceptually, he of course supports the idea of ensuring that members of Congress and United States senators who are here for public service cannot enrich themselves. And
Karoline's opening move? Complete obliteration of the media's manufactured drama. She torched the rumor mill, flatly shutting down any talk of bad blood between Senator Hawley and President Trump. With that signature blend of poise and punch, she revealed the truth. Hawley had simply picked up the phone, called Trump directly, and laid out the bill's real purpose: cracking down on insider trading by those in power. No backstabbing, no betrayal, just a straightforward conversation. And here's the kicker: Trump got it. In fact, after hearing the facts, he gave the bill his full blessing. So much for the rift the press was salivating over. But Karoline wasn't finished. With the air cleared, she went straight on the attack. And it wasn't just sharp, it was devastating. She shredded the media's fixation on fabricating GOP infighting and then zeroed in on Nancy Pelosi, dropping ugly truths about her stock market windfalls.
the reason that this idea to put a ban on stock trading for members of Congress is even a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. I mean, she is rightfully criticized because she makes, I think, $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of approximately $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio, this was a fascinating statistic to me, grew 70% in 1 year.
Whoa, now that's the kind of shady that should be front-page news. Just think about the kind of mischief someone can pull when they've got access to privileged, behind-closed-doors intel, all courtesy of their cushy seat in Congress. For perspective, the average stock might grow 7% to 10% a year if you're lucky and patient. But Nancy Pelosi? Her portfolio didn't just beat the market. It rocketed by 70%. 70%. That's not sharp investing, that's suspiciously spectacular, and she's not fooling anyone. Karoline Leavitt finds it just as jaw-dropping and infuriating. Because while everyday Americans grind, save, and pray for single-digit gains, the political elite look like they're playing by an entirely different rulebook. This isn't just unfair, it's a spit in the face. And Karoline? She's not about to let it slide. She keeps the heat on Pelosi.
And her portfolio outperformed every single large hedge fund in that same year and even more than doubled the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway.
Meanwhile, these Democrats preach socialism from their marble thrones, posing as champions of the poor while secretly coveting the rich and scheming to tear them down, not for justice but out of pure envy. They don't despise wealth. They despise not having total control over it. These are the same crowd who drape themselves in the banner of equity and fairness, all while using social causes as a smokescreen to quietly fatten their own bank accounts. As Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi's salary alone could bankroll a lavish lifestyle by any standard. But that still wasn't enough. Greed whispered, and she leaned in to hear every word. Because for them, it's never about serving the people. It's about serving their portfolios.
So I think the president stands with the American people on this. He doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the process. As for the mechanics of the legislation and how it will move forward, the White House continues to be in discussions with our friends on Capitol Hill.
The whole point of the Honest Act is crystal clear. Stop greedy politicians, especially Democrats itching to follow Nancy Pelosi's playbook, from turning public office into their personal goldmine. These people didn't swear an oath to their stockbrokers. They swore it to the American people. And yet, again and again, they treat public service like a VIP pass to private fortune. Enough is enough. This bill is a long overdue punch in the gut to anyone who thinks power is just a shortcut to profit. Honestly, I think it's one of the smartest legislative moves in years. If it passes and actually gets enforced, it could finally slam the brakes on this toxic trend of turning government jobs into Wall Street launchpads. Public office isn't a hustle, it's a duty.
The whole system is so f***ing corrupted. Ugh. And it's so obvious, we're at a stage where, we have enough information to see, that how much greed and money just corrupts the system.
But I don't think we really got to see it until Trump ran. I think you got to see it unveiled in a way when Trump ran that you never got to see before.
Joe Rogan nailed it when he said that without Trump in the race, we might never have uncovered half the political rot festering in Washington, like Nancy Pelosi's shady stock deals. And he's right. Say what you will about Trump, but the man tore the mask off the establishment and shoved them under a spotlight they never saw coming. He shattered their monopoly on the narrative. Suddenly, Americans started asking the uncomfortable questions. Rogan was about to dive into the details, but even before he did, one thing was obvious. Trump didn't just rattle politics. He set off a bomb under the old system. Love him or hate him, the guy dragged a lot of skeletons out of the closet, and we're better for it.
I think you got to see it unveiled in a way when Trump ran that you never got to see before. Because also you got the rise of independent journalism that happens at the same time.
Yeah.
So you have people that report just on the facts, not like this CNN lean or the Fox News lean, but just reports on exactly what's happening and how it happened.
Exactly. That's the Trump effect in overdrive. Trump didn't just sidestep the legacy media, he exposed them for what they were. Instead of begging for airtime on networks tangled up with the political elite, he went straight to independent outlets and podcasters who let him speak without a filter. He saw the game for what it was. Legacy media wasn't reporting news, it was managing the narrative. Behind the scenes, executives and anchors clinked glasses with politicians at glittering dinners, cutting unwritten deals. In exchange for access and exclusives, they conveniently looked the other way when their political pals got caught red-handed. It was a slick quid pro quo. You cover for us, we'll give you the scoop. Trump blew that cozy arrangement to smithereens by bypassing the gatekeepers entirely. He put the mic back in the people's hands and made it impossible for the establishment to hide in the shadows. That's why they hated him, because he dragged their dirty laundry into the daylight.
If you're paying attention and you follow those people, and a lot more people are than ever before, you get a way different understanding of how gross this game is.
Yeah.
And because the guy was so polarizing, and because he was such an easy guy to turn into a like you pointed to him, you're like, this is our him. Look at the way he talks.
Yeah.
He's gonna ruin the world. It's a threat to democracy.
That's exactly what they did to Trump because he refused to play their dirty little game. He had zero interest in rubbing elbows with the Nancy Pelosi of Washington. No backroom deals for cash, no scratching each other's backs, no becoming just another cog in the DC machine. And for that, he became public enemy number one. The legacy media, fully tangled up with the political elite, went all in on a smear campaign. If they couldn't control him, they'd try to crush him. They dug through every corner of his life, his businesses, his personal history, even his TV career, desperate to find anything they could spin into a scandal. The mission was obvious: wreck his reputation, block his shot at the presidency, and slam the door behind him. But it blew up in their faces. The harder they came after him, the more people saw the sham for what it was. Instead of burying him, they built a political powerhouse. Trump didn't just survive their witch hunt, he thrived. And that's the part that keeps them up at night.
So what do? They stop all the primaries. They don't have real primaries anymore. They haven't had a real primary since 2012.
Yeah.
They rig them. They rig it with Bernie Sanders. They rig it with RFK Jr. They're just, the whole business is gross.
Exactly. Democrats love to climb onto their soapbox and preach about moral superiority, democracy, and justice, but their actions tell an entirely different story. They posture as the nation's moral compass, wagging their fingers from an imaginary high ground. Scratch the surface, though, and it's pure hypocrisy. These are the same people who shout about protecting democracy, yet their own party hasn't held a legitimate primary since 2012. Let that sink in. A party named after democracy doesn't even trust its own voters to choose their nominee. Instead, they run it like a private club, handpicking their favorites while pretending it's all for the people. If Republicans pulled even half of this stunt, it'd dominate headlines for weeks. But when Democrats do it, silence. It's the classic do as I say, not as I do culture. And frankly, it's an insult to every American who actually believes in free and fair elections. In the end, it's all smoke and mirrors. They parade around as champions of the people, but behind closed doors, it's all power plays, backroom deals, and self-enrichment. They lecture us on democracy while denying it in their own ranks. They attacked Trump because he blew the whistle on their hypocrisy and refused to join their club. That's why they fear him, because he doesn't play their rigged game, and he never will.